Join the country's most experienced lecturers to pass ACCA with ease. Free Kaplan study text and exam kit. Sri Lanka's first and only ACCA virtual learning platform with the entire ACCA program. Join Alpha Business School today. Call 0773 654 254 for registrations.
Hi and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in today. So we're going to have a webinar today on the theme, okay, a concrete future with ACCA, okay, in challenging times. Okay. As you know, ACCA is the most in-demand professional qualification in accountancy and finance globally. How do we achieve a qualification like this during troubled times like this, okay, is the main focus. And is it the correct thing to do? What's the characteristics of or features of this program? How can Alpha Business School help you in this program? Okay, is a brief of what we are going to look at today. So as I'm Shehan Fernando, the CEO of Alpha Business School, and I will be the moderator of this event for the day. Today, you will be joined by 4 panelists, namely Dr. Shan Jayasekara, Chairman of Alpha Business School, Mrs. Nilusha Ranasinghe. She is the country head of ACCA Sri Lanka and Maldives, Richardson Moraes, who will give you an overview. He is a senior research analyst from Knowledge Outsource. He's going to give you an overview of how ACCA will help in the workplace. And our last panelist for the day is Tilanka Hevage, Director and CEO of Real Lands Group, who will share his expertise on how a professional qualification like ACCA can help you in basically being an entrepreneur. Okay, right. So we'll move on to Dr. Shan Jayasekara initially, okay, who will share his thoughts and views and mainly the content of this particular program called ACCA. Over to Dr. Shan Jayasekara.
Thanks. Sorry. Right. Thanks so much, Shehan. Right. So welcome everyone, and hope everyone is safe at home. So so today's theme is a concrete future with ACCA. So I think the first, so I've been associated with teaching for ACCA for almost 20 to 21 years now. And in my time in ACCA, I mean, I can personally vouch for the quality of the program itself in terms of how the examinations are conducted, what the examinations test. I've seen so much of, of changes to syllabus that has happened, making the qualification very, very relevant, actually, to changing times, to be honest. Again, there's a bit of a misunderstanding, I think, amongst a lot of people, and I think the other panelists also down the line will bear testament to that. It's that is ACCA truly an accountancy qualification, or can it lead to other parts as well? I mean, why I say that is certainly the word Association of Certified Chartered Accountants itself is used. But if you look at the course curriculum of ACCA, I mean, we do cover accounts, we cover finance, we cover management accounting, we cover management areas of law. You know, even in management, going into areas like project management, marketing management, corporate strategy, and so forth, which, in honestly my personal view, gives you a very rounded view of the entire business world, actually. And I think Richardson and even Tiranka will take that one step further to understand that, you know, though they've done ACCA, they moved into fields which are non-accounting related as well, kind of in the process, you know. And it's just not that. I mean, I've lectured for bachelor's degrees, I've lectured for master's degrees, and different kinds of master's degrees. And what I see is, even on these MBAs, on these MSCs, I actually see most of the content of ACCA also being present on those things. So truly making ACCA kind of a very business friendly qualification, which can actually lead to not only a brilliant career in the field of accountancy itself, but rather in the fields of finance, in the fields of even management somewhat down the line, depending on where you want to end up with. Now, from a parent's perspective, naturally, it's a cost. It certainly is a cost, and we should never ever undermine that. But rather than looking at a cost, it's always useful to look at it as an investment. So from a parent perspective, I see the investment coming in the form of a financial investment, while as from a student perspective, there is always a time investment, you know, and these take time to do. It takes about 2.5 to 3 years to do. So then, does the investment make sense? And I'm here to tell you that that investment has a good payoff in the future, and that future is either what you want it to be. And we have two different panelists here who can kind of share their own experience and bear witness to this. One person has decided to take a corporate career, the other person has decided to take an entrepreneurial career. So either way, ACCA can give you that kind of advantage, or the competencies, I would say, to kind of either take matters into your own hands, like being your own boss, like what Tilanka will talk about, or professionally work in an organization and take that route, which Richardson would certainly talk about. And just like I think Shehan mentioned, you know, if there is one thing constant about this world, it's just two opposing factors: order and chaos. Order and chaos will always go hand in hand. Through chaos comes order. From order, chaos is created. Today we live in a world of chaos, and today's world of chaos is no different to the chaos we have experienced in the past. There will always be chaos. That's a natural order. But from that chaos, a new order will come about, and we can see that new order emerging. And that new order is a kind of a different lifestyle, a very online driven, a very bit of an isolated lifestyle, if you want to use that kind of word. But what's interesting is, I mean that day, just 3 days back, I was just doing a lecture actually with Maldives. And in this lecture, I was actually talking about video conferencing, because there is a subject in ACCA which talks about technology, actually. And those days, I had to explain the benefits of video conferencing to a classroom, but then the classroom started giving me the benefits immediately, because the lecture was video conferenced anyway. So what I'm trying to take you through with all of this is, way before this chaotic situation happened, all these concepts like big data management, cloud computing, mobile computing, disruptive technology was part of the ACCA syllabus. This is what I was talking about. The course itself is so relevant to the modern world, and they keep updating this. And I need to kind of congratulate ACCA on the moves they've taken to always keep the qualification ahead, kind of. And I think that goes with their slogan as well, think ahead, kind of. It really lives up to the term kind of itself. And that is one of the main reasons is ACCA spends a lot of time and a lot of resources keeping in touch with their key stakeholders. And from the stakeholder point of view, organizations are their biggest stakeholders, because all of these qualifications is not done for just letters after our name, but rather to secure that concrete future which we are talking about. So they will always incorporate these requirements of the employers in terms of competencies and the changing environment to reflect that in their qualification, keeping it always up to date, and certainly giving them that competitive advantage kind of in the market. So I would say ACCA leads to an amazing future, an amazing start actually, and that's another thing to remember. This becomes the first step you take towards your concrete future. Because from there onwards, in this very competitive market space, people talk about master's degrees, people talk about other bachelor's degrees, even to the extent of doctorates, DBAs, and all this program. But with ACCA, since they are so well recognized across the board, they have such a lot of affiliations and tie-ups with universities that most universities recognize them as entry into master's programs, and certainly also ACCA also has their own tie-ups with universities, and some of the most top-ranked universities like Oxford Brookes and University College London, where after you do your ACCA, you could actually offer just sometimes just a research module and cover your bachelor's degree, and also certainly down the line you can do one of the best master's programs actually, which is like the 4th or 5th rank uni in the UK, which is University College London, and get your MSc in professional accountancy as well, kind of in the process. So what I'm trying to tell you is ACCA certainly is a nice stepping stone, the first step you take towards securing yourself into a much brighter future ahead in the process. Yeah. I think that's from me, Shehan. I hope
Okay.
that was. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Shan.
No.
So you heard it from an expert, basically, as to why ACCA is so important to start off one's educational career, and the benefits you can derive through it, the subject areas it covers, and what parts can you get into after ACCA. Okay, right. So here with us next is Ms. Nilusha Ranasinghe, country head of ACCA Sri Lanka and Maldives. Okay, who will give you further insights about the program called ACCA.
Right. Thank you, Shehan. So once again, good evening to you all. And on behalf of ACCA Sri Lanka, let me thank for Business School for having me on this webinar to talk to the potential market with regards to a concrete future with ACCA. So you have all arrived at a very important juncture, a crossroad in your professional life, or also most of you out there in your school life. The key question will be, do you have your sight set on a role in a specific industry, or are you keen to travel the globe while you work and pursue a career, a cross-border career and an international career, or do you want to and aspire to be at board level in the future, or make a difference in society for the public good? Let me tell you, whatever you are looking for, a career in finance and accountancy can help you to achieve your goal. So when you talk about career in finance, the first letters that comes into your mind should be ACCA. Choose ACCA and discover a world of opportunity. When you study with ACCA, you open doors to the best and most interesting roles all over the world, and you become one of the sought-after finance professionals our fast-changing world needs. A few reasons as to why you should continue your journey and choose ACCA, first of all. Well, the reason number one would be you can work anywhere in the world. With ACCA, you become a part of an alumni, a diverse body of more than 290,000 members and 527,000 students in 179 countries. And you stand out to the best employer. Why would you want to do a degree, a professional qualification and go out there? You do it because you want to be chosen in the corporate world and you want to pursue a career. Well, employers across the globe seek out ACCA trained professionals because they have the strategic thinking, technical skills, and the professional value. And of course, across the globe, we are actually supported by quality tuition, both full-time and part-time, in a classroom environment, hybrid, online, you name it. And out there now you have Alpha Business School. They will offer you full-time, part-time, a hybrid model, or even when this chaos settles down, hopefully at some point of time this year, they will also have face-to-face classes as well. And like Dr. Shan mentioned before, we have flexibility to choose your own path. We have quarterly exam sessions, on-demand exam sessions, and we offer a BSc in Applied Accounting from Oxford Brookes University without doubling your workload. So unlike no other professional qualification, when you choose ACCA, think about it. You will get a degree and a professional qualification both without doubling your workload, all in 2.5 years to 3 years. And all the support you need is on ground because Alpha Business School will definitely support you from knowledge level to strategic professional level. And you can thereafter be a part of an organization that thinks ahead, because our tagline is thinking ahead, and ACCA drives change in the finance sector. And when you are an ACCA member, you help us to shape the future in the accountancy and the business. So once again, ACCA, the competency framework. Why choose ACCA? Well, there are numerous qualifications. You open the Sunday newspaper, or nowadays you go online and look at the paper. There are so many qualifications out there. So why take ACCA and choose ACCA? Well, ACCA covers advisory, consultancy. The syllabus per se covers data, digital, technology, stakeholder relationship management, governance, risk control, financial management, leadership and management. And these are all underpinned by ethics and professionalism. So as you can see, again, just as Dr. Shan mentioned, all these areas, what is required for you to go out there, be a business enabler, is actually inculcated, it's incorporated into the syllabus. So all you need to do is embrace it, learn it, and go out there and roll it out in the corporate sector. And there's always been a myth, I mean, I must say, in Sri Lanka, and I would say globally as well, that a finance professional sits behind sets of ledger books and a number cruncher. You're not out there, you're in a back office function. No way, you're no longer doing a back office function, because you will be taking part in business restructuring, cyber security, project management, commercial finance, strategy and leadership. So some of the key business enabling roles will be out there for you to choose from. Like I told you, we believe in flexibility. That's why we have on-demand exams, and Alpha Business School is an on-demand exam center by itself. So you have the flexibility and the ease to sit at the same place you studied, so that you have the same comfortable environment when you sit for your on-demand exams. And thereafter, we have our session CBs all online in order to make sure that you have the commercial and the business acumen required in the commercial world. and we support throughout your journey with ACCA with past exam libraries, exam-specific webinars, technical articles, and exam techniques, which will actually help you to go out there, pass those exams, and be a ACCA member. And I must say, the end goal, why do people are post A-level, post O-level, start a professional qualification? And then we all want to be employed and make a successful career. Well, the good news is both in Sri Lanka and globally, we have very good, more than 7,500 global employer relationships, and we organize career days with them, and we ensure that there is the unique talent available within ACCA. Trainees and members are recognized, and you are actually hired by the employers out there, be it anywhere in the world. And we pride ourselves by saying that when you choose ACCA, you open doors to an international career where cross-border you can go anywhere in the world, be it the United Kingdom, Dubai, Australia, or Canada. So just to give you, I'll wait for the questions and any other areas to add on. But as a whole, choose ACCA because it will bring you not one opportunity, but millions of opportunities for you to choose from. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nilusha from ACCA Sri Lanka, for all those insights, okay, and detail about the qualification. After all, you need to know all this detail because this is the decision which will shape your future in terms of your higher education. So you need to take a correct step, okay, and move towards the correct path of higher education, and undoubtedly that would be ACCA. At the same time, I must thank her for the endorsement given to Alpha Business School. As she mentioned, Alpha Business School will be there throughout to guide you throughout this qualification and make you get through the qualification within that stipulated time frame. Before I move on to the next panelist, let me just quickly summarize. Okay, again, a big question, as Ms. Nilusha mentioned. Okay, there's enough and more qualifications that one person can move towards, but why ACCA? What's the distinctive feature of this particular qualification? Okay, or what are the key features? Let me summarize that for you. Okay, initially you can finish this program in 2.5 years. There are certain programs which get extended much beyond that. This program can be basically, this is the most in-demand professional qualification in accountancy and finance globally. At the same time, you get multiple qualifications, not just the professional qualification awarded by ACCA, but also a BSc in applied accounting, okay, at the same time, okay, not having to do any massive extra tasks or subjects, okay. A BSc in applied accounting offered by Oxford Brookes University, UK, a very recognized university, ranked 33 in the UK for the year 2020, Times Guardian rankings, world rank of 383 according to QS rankings. So it's such a good university, okay, which you will be awarded this bachelor's degree. It's a bachelor's degree, honors degree as well, okay, from this esteemed institution. So if you ask me further recognition, what about the recognition of this degree program locally? It's UGC or University Grants Commission recognized as well. Compared to other qualifications, compared to other foreign qualifications, when it comes to this particular program, the cost that you spend is comparatively much lesser as well. You heard about the subject matter covered through this qualification by both Ms. Nilusha and Dr. Shan as well. It's a vast area of fields which the program touches on. And as heard, the program offers you a lot of flexibility where you can take exams 4 times a year in terms of the skills level and the professional level. And the initial stage, the knowledge level or the entry or foundation level, the exams are on demand where you can do it any day, anytime. I'll add on one more thing where I say, or actually 2 more things. The first being, okay, this program is not necessarily for individuals who is after O-levels and A-levels. Other qualifications will give you exemptions, okay, including certain qualifications which will give you exemptions to move you into the final level of ACCA directly as well, in which case it's just 4 subjects that you have to do, okay, which makes you finish, if you put in that effort, finish the program in 6 months, okay. Another question that we have received regularly on the program ACCA itself is, what is the pass mark of each subject? The pass mark of each subject in ACCA is 50 marks throughout the entire program, from knowledge level to professional level. You need to select a qualification that you can progress smoothly throughout your period of study. And ACCA is a qualification of that nature as well. So that is a bit of a summary, okay, and a lengthy summary, but a lengthy summary that you need to know when picking the professional qualification or as the choice, okay, of your higher education, which will mold your future. So keeping that in mind, we move on to our next panelist, who is Mr. Richardson Moraes, who will share his views and ideas on how the ACCA qualification will help you in your workplace.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so basically, guys, I would like to initially thank, Shehanza. I call him Shehanza because he was my lecturer before for ACCA, Shehanza as well. So thank you for this opportunity to give, especially you guys an idea about how ACCA helped me in my current career, and, as to how I apply it on my day-to-day work. So I think for that, let me just give you initially an idea about how, initially I'll give you an idea about my current job role and as to what I actually do at my workplace. And then I'll tell you as to how, from where I started with ACCA and how even ACCA currently helps me when it comes to my workplace. So guys, just like how, Shehansa introduced, I work as a senior research analyst at Knowledge Outsource. So guys, being at Knowledge Outsource, I actually cover one of the largest banks in Southeast Asia. So that is, so being a research analyst. So my main job role is we work into, so whenever companies release their earnings, we basically try to come up with the earnings releases, and we try to see how these can add value. For example, we give buy and sell recommendations and see for an investor's perspective, how they can basically, whether they're going to go for a buy or a sell. And not just this, we also work on a lot of different other sorts of industry ideas, like thematic ideas into various sectors, like be finance or into manufacturing, or it could be into oil and gas, transport, real estate, and so on. So, if you see, it's quite vast reports, and we deliver it to clients internationally. And also, guys, we also, not just this, and today with the current trend, we work on a lot of other different types of investment rate ideas, which you can do it from your phone, like where you can invest through your phone, as well as you can easily do it. You can even go through some of the key areas, like sort of industry ideas and different company perspectives. So talking about how, so that's pretty much a summary of what I do at my workplace. So how did ACCA actually help me when it comes to my workplace? So guys, initially when I started ACCA back in 2012, so when I was studying for it, so I mean, most of you guys will always have this question, as to how will ACCA help me when it comes to my work experience, and how it can add as a qualification to my workplace. So basically, in my opinion, when I started working, I was at my skills level. So trust me, guys, when I was applying for job opportunities, I mean, at that time only, I actually realized how useful ACCA was, especially when when I applied during my skills level. Even during the interviews, I mean, the sort of questions they ask, some technical questions, and even simple questions like into ratios. Even at the skills level, I was able to answer it quite well, which I felt, because one of the main reasons being how ACCA helped me to gain knowledge into those areas. Because especially what I feel is that, I mean, I have seen this personally, that I mean, most of the employees would always like to give job opportunities when it comes to professional qualifications compared to a degree. So it's always good if you can top it up with both. So that's the reason why I would always say taking up an ACCA, I mean, and doing the qualification is definitely very useful when it comes to your workplace. So let me tell you as to how, so I started as an internal auditor. And as an internal auditor also, guys, I mean, like, I initially, to understand how financial statements work, and even things like how management works. And, I used to do a lot of audit on controls, internal controls. And ACCA gave me a lot of knowledge in these areas. For example, coming into finance, understanding the financial statements, how we can prepare, your simple statements, like, let's say, I mean, your income statement, balance sheet, and also looking at some complicated notes and adjustments. So with the knowledge of ACCA, it was very easy for me to understand, I mean, how these companies are reporting, and how it basically, if you see in real world scenarios, how this knowledge helps me to understand what actually happens there, right? And also when it comes to controls, when it comes to these management controls, it's not very easy to just I mean, it's true, you gain from your experience, but before that, when you have a basic knowledge of how these controls work, especially, I mean, if you look at some of the papers like papers like AFM, and some of the papers like APM, these give you a lot of good knowledge into these areas, where, I mean, you sort of see how you can apply it to your real world scenarios, and you can see how it applies, So it's ACCA for me, basically, even areas like taxation, right? So, I mean, that's how vast it is. So I think, just like how Nilusha and Shanza mentioned, right? ACCA gives you a vast knowledge. It's not just something which is looking into accounting. So if you see myself, right? So so from there, I moved into my current role of being a research analyst. So the research analyst is not just about accounting. So just like how Nilusha mentioned, it's not like, you just stay on the back end, and, you just keep crunch, just do some number crunching. In research analysis, we got to really understand how financial statement work is one thing, but then it's a lot of others as well. For example, you need to understand how investors behave, right? For them to, I mean, we need to give them recommendations. So for that, we need to understand the behavioral finance, right? Even areas like this, which are covered in ACCA, right? So for me, I mean, practically even areas like management, and even if you look at areas like taxation, right? These, I mean, ACCA gave me an in-depth knowledge into all these areas. So even when it comes to, when I initially started my job, for you to understand how ethics work, I mean, we talk about ethics everywhere, but once you really learn ethics, especially from what we learn from ACCA, we can see that you can actually apply those when it comes to your workplace, and you can see how you can basically look at, let's say, sometimes some basic issues, you can address it through this qualification, because it gives you a good knowledge on an in-depth knowledge on these areas. And coming to my current job role also, guys, like, even areas like ACCA also introduced into areas like, let's say, cryptocurrencies, and even some of the latest investment ideas that we're looking at. So for all these, ACCA actually helped me a lot, giving me a good understanding into these various different areas. Especially, guys, I would like to also note that ACCA is a qualification which is it gave me from the basics to an advanced knowledge of finance. So it's not a qualification which just gives you, just like how we mentioned before, not just into accounting, not just about how you prepare statements or let's say simple statements, but it's all about how you make a decision, right? So especially when you look at areas like how as a manager, as a finance manager, right, especially if you get papers like AFM, it gives you a good in-depth knowledge as to how as a finance manager you will be able to sort of look into various different aspects, right? So from simple decision making to making tough decisions like investment appraisal, and even sometimes areas like derivatives, which is something I think most of you guys you guys would not even have heard of something like derivative, especially someone who is from A levels, right? So ACCA gives you knowledge into all those areas, like as to how derivatives works when it comes to real world scenarios. Okay, and also, guys, moving on from ACCA, you can always look into going for further qualifications. So I myself, guys, I'm a CFA charter holder, and honestly, guys, ACCA helped me a lot for my CFA qualification, because especially when I was doing my level 1, a lot of basics which were there in level, a lot of content from level 1 were there in my ACCA, right? So especially to do my CFA level 1, ACCA helped me a lot. And not just that, even for me to progress in my career. So that's how I wanted to go deep into a finance qualification, and I chose something like CFA. So ACCA is not just about not just about accounting. So if you see, CFA is not complete into accounting. It's a massive qualification into where you look at capital markets, right? So basically, you got to understand that not just CFA, even if you're looking at something like a master's, even ACCA offers you a master's, right? You can always do that bachelor's degree, and you can always look at something like a master's. So I would say, in my opinion, guys, for me, ACCA at my current workplace helps me a lot, because especially as to how I initially started to what I am, and how much of knowledge I gained. So I think definitely you guys should look at doing ACCA, because I know there are a lot of other qualifications over there. And just like how Shehan also mentioned, ACCA is not very costly if you look at it, right? If you can, and you can always, it's very flexible, especially when you're working, guys, you can choose, right? Because at the time that I was doing ACCA, it used to be 2 sessions, but now ACCA is offering you 4 sessions, right? So which means that you can definitely balance it with work. Even if you can do a subject every 3 months, you can definitely balance with work. Because I know most of you guys would feel, it's very difficult to balance when it comes to working and studying. Not really, guys. It's very easy when you actually learn it, when you're studying in a way that, and when you can apply it to your workplace, you can always see that ACCA will help you a lot when it comes to your workplace. And also, even how like I mentioned before, making decisions, right? Simple decisions. It gives you a good knowledge into all these different areas. So I think if you I think there's a lot that I can talk about when it comes to how it helps me practically in my workplace. But I think I just want to give you mainly a small understanding as to how ACCA is a good basic for you guys, to start off with. And then from your, from the first stage to when you come to your professional level, you would see how much you have learned, and how in-depth, the syllabus has been. So it is a great journey. For me, I enjoyed the journey. It was a great journey. And definitely, guys, start doing ACCA. And also, if you have any questions, just let me know. As to how ACCA helps me when it comes to my workplace, and I'll see what I can do about it. Thanks, James.
Join the country's most experienced lecturers to pass ACCA with ease. Free Kaplan study text and exam kit. Sri Lanka's first and only ACCA virtual learning platform with the entire ACCA program. Join Alpha Business School today. Call 0773 654 254 for registrations.
All right. Thank you, Richardson, for all those lovely insights. And you heard it from someone who has gone through the entire process. Okay. So as Richardson mentioned, okay, what is stopping you, if at all, is yourself. Okay. Undoubtedly, handling a program like this without doing a job, purely focusing on studies, there's no two words about that it will be comparatively easier. Okay. But not everyone can handle or basically not everyone may be in a position, okay, to be, have someone fund their education. Maybe you might have to work to fund your education. So, but as he correctly said, okay, if you plan your exams properly, if you time it carefully, not taking necessarily too many exams at the same time, okay, your workload can be properly managed, where you can, for example, okay, take one subject a session, okay, and at the same time more towards the latter stages cover the entire program ideally. Okay, right, fine. So before I move on to the final panelist, who is Tilanka, let me give you a brief understanding about how the entire qualification works in terms of the ACCA curriculum. Okay, right. So I believe you can see my screen. Am I right in saying so? Yes. So right at the bottom of the screen is where you start the program with the knowledge level, 3 subjects, after which you will be awarded a diploma in accounting and business. I must mention of a special partnership between Alpha Business School and Concordia International University, California, USA, who will also award you a diploma in accountancy and finance after the 3 subjects are completed via exemptions. So no additional effort to be put in. And we have coupled that diploma along with the course fee. So therefore, there is no extra charge that you need to pay. So then we move on to the 6 subjects in the skills level, which will generally take about 1 year to complete, after which you will receive an advanced diploma in accounting and business. Note that a AAT pass out student, all 3 levels, can directly enter to the 2nd stage of ACCA, skipping the knowledge level. After you're done with the skills level, a research project needs to be submitted, which I was mentioning before about. So when you do that submission, you get the UGC recognized BSc honors degree in applied accounting from Oxford Brookes University, UK. After you're done with that, and this research can be submitted parallelly while you're following the final level, which is the professional level of ACCA, and 4 subjects to be done, 2 essential papers and 2 optional papers to select from. And once you are done, you get your you go as an ACCA affiliate with 3 years of work experience. You get your ACCA membership as well. So that concludes the ACCA qualification. But as Dr. Shan mentioned, that's not necessarily the end of your higher education career. The world is yours beyond that. You can move on to any of the partnered master's programs, which ACCA has partnered with University of London and Oxford Brookes University, or move on to a professional qualification like CFA, which was mentioned by Richardson. So he did CFA after doing the ACCA qualification. the most recognized qualification in finance in the entire world. So this is how the entire pathway looks like in terms of the ACCA structure. With that being said, I will move on to, and one more extra thing which I want to mention to you, okay? Entire ACCA curriculum, like what I said before, the pass mark for every subject is 50. And I will add on one more thing. Every exam is computer based. That's nothing to worry about, because the experienced panel of lecturers at Alpha Business School will always guide you throughout as to how to answer your questions via the computer system. The knowledge level exams are on demand, where you can pick the day and time of your choice. And these questions are generally MCQs, fill in the blanks, drag and drop questions, and so on. No discussion questions involved in the knowledge level. So the discursive questions come into the picture when you move on to skills level onwards. So every exam is a computer-based exam. And it has to be, because you don't go to the workplace and draw T accounts on CR books anymore. All your work is done via a computer system. So why not get yourselves trained now itself? Okay, right. So with that being said, let me move on to our final panelist for the day, Tilanka Hevage. He will speak to you about how he runs his own business and how the qualification of ACCA has helped him to do so. Over to you, Tilanka.
Thanks, Shahan. Firstly, welcome everyone, and thank you, Shahan and Alpha Business School, for having me as a part of this panel today. As Shahan introduced me earlier, I am an ACCA accountant myself. Of course, I finished the qualification quite a few years ago. And right now I have basically chosen a path of running my own company, right? So what I'd like to do is just share with everyone present, parents and students alike, or future students, why I found ACCA to be a useful stepping stone in guiding me to come to where I am today, right? So just a bit of background about myself, because it will help everyone understand how I went about making the decisions I made. So right after school, right, I had just finished my O-levels actually, and I was having a discussion with my parents, and I also have a twin brother. So we were discussing, okay, what should we do now, right? What's next for us? And right back then, we had one idea in our head, which was that we, both me and my brother, we had this thought that we want to do things differently, right? We didn't want to spend at least a minimum of 4 to 5 years going to a Sri Lankan local university and graduating at that point and seeking employment. So very early in our lives, right after O-levels actually, we thought that we are going to look at a way to fast track our careers, our professional careers. And that's when we kind of started looking at the option of pursuing qualifications that gave us both an academic and professional, I would say, footing or grounding. And while we were doing that study, ACCA was one of the topmost at that time, and still is one of the topmost recognized professional qualifications you find available here in Sri Lanka. So one of the good things about ACCA, yes, as Mrs. Nilusha mentioned and Dr. Shan earlier, it is a globally recognized qualification. But we are lucky, being Sri Lankans and being here, that there are many, a big ACCA fraternity here in Sri Lanka. And like Alpha Business School, very good, high quality tuition providers to guide young students, if you like, in pursuing, I must say, a very international level qualification. Because if you look at most other qualifications that are provided by international bodies here in Sri Lanka, I must say the support system is lacking sometimes, guys. So what I mean by that is sometimes there are no good tuition providers to go for classes. Sometimes the resources are not available, like your textbooks, your study texts and things like that. And also the level of recognition for some of those qualifications here in Sri Lanka is also lacking. But that's where we are all lucky to have a body like ACCA. I think we must thank the country head, Mrs. Nimusha and her team. They do a very good job. They've made ACCA easily the forerunner in terms of recognition as a finance and accounting professional qualification here in the country. And like Alpha Business School, there are many very good tuition providers that do a very good job in giving newcomers like me back then a good foundation in this qualification. So moving on with my story. So after my twin and I, we decided we want to pursue professional education, we actually embarked on that journey at a very young age. And I basically started my ACCA studies literally right after I finished my A-levels. So this was when I was 18, right? And actually at that time I was able to secure some exemptions also, because I had done some preliminary professional qualifications at that time as well. And so I think I can bear testament to the fact that you can actually finish the ACCA qualification within the 2.5 years that both Mrs. Nilusha and Dr. Shan mentioned. So I am such a case. So I was able to finish the qualification within a relatively short period of time. And that's the comparison I want to give everyone. See, guys, to put it very simply, I was a double qualified accountant by the age of 20. I know that might sound a little fantastic and maybe a bit true to believe, but it is true. By the age of 20, you can be done with your ACCA, and also you can complete the top-up degree, the Oxford Brookes accountancy degree as well, right? So just picture yourselves at that point, right? So some of you would somewhere mid along that journey have also started your professional careers, maybe as like our friend Richardson, maybe in an audit firm, or like me, like I started my career at a telecom company as a business analyst, right? So regardless, most of us by then would at least have 6 to 12 months of work experience also, because as Shehan mentioned, ACCA is a very sought after qualification. Lots of blue chip companies in Sri Lanka are very happy to onboard young accountants who are pursuing ACCA, because as I think both Nilusha and Dr. Shan mentioned, it's a very balanced qualification in that sense. It gives you a very rounded outlook. So yes, your core, I guess the soul of the qualification remains finance. So you become a chartered accountant. Don't forget that. So you should be very proud when you finish ACCA, you will be an accountant. Yeah. But not only do you learn accounting and finance, as Shan mentioned, you study marketing, you study strategy, you study planning, you study, and essentially more than all of that, you study a bit of entrepreneurship as well, because you learn how to evaluate business opportunities, deciding whether there is a good idea or not, should I invest or not. You get to sit on the side of an advisor. When you come to the higher levels of the ACCA qualification, you are referred to as a consultant in the questions that you answer. So you are a consultant, and you will be advising boards of directors of companies on investment decisions, on procurement decisions, on supply chain choices, on market growth strategies, right? So you start kind of thinking like an investor, like an entrepreneur, because you are advising such people in the exam scenario that they set you, right? So that was, I guess, maybe the starting point of my thought process to move away from like a traditional career and maybe explore opportunities on my own. So I am really happy to say that ACCA gives you that hunger, that I would say that desire, like that the longing to know, okay, how would I make this decision if it was for me, right? So that is something that is really fundamental if you want to do something on your own, guys. So and I must say one thing, like now at my age, yes, now I run a business. I have invested in multiple entities. We are into multiple different types of businesses, but my beginnings were very humble. So we started business like myself. I started at a very young age. Like while I was working, I was looking at investment opportunities on the side, thinking of what I would like to do myself. And it was just only 4 years ago that I made a full-time commitment to this business entity of mine. And that's fine too. Remember that being a business owner or an entrepreneur is not something that you have to do from day one. You don't leave your studies straight away into being the head of a company. It doesn't work like that. I completed 11 years of corporate experience before starting my business. Right, so I worked in some of the biggest blue chips here in Sri Lanka as well as overseas. I was attached to a global bank. I was attached to a multinational, a Swedish telecom company. I was attached to a Singapore-based plantations company, a very large entity. I was also attached to a multinational, one of the top, at that time, one of the top 3 companies in Sri Lanka by market capitalization. So I got a very rounded, diverse experience, right? Before I made this choice to start something on my own, right? So remember that being your own boss, like I heard Dr. Shan mention that phrase, right? So it's not something that happens quickly. You have to take time, you have to be patient, you have to study. Even before I made a decision in terms of what line or what industry I want to invest into and start a business, I spent a lot of time doing research, reading up, studying the different options, the opportunities that are available for me before I chose real estate to be a sector that I am interested in. Right now, I've actually diversified into multiple other sectors as well. So I'm into a bit of export. I even do some local retail business. I'm into some manufacture of and packaging of tea here for the local market. So I've got into many different sectors, but based on a lot of study and a lot of analysis. And again, ACCA is beautiful for that as well. It teaches you how to study something from a very, I would say, a very objective and a very independent stand or a viewpoint. So you look at an opportunity divorced from that opportunity. So you analyze it as a proper analyst, you know. So as Richardson was saying, it makes you a very good analyst as well, the qualification, right? So if you think about it in that sense, ACCA gives you all the skills you need to pursue a very successful corporate career, if that is what you wish to do. And at some point, if you want to think about investing on your own, starting your own thing, again, the foundational understanding, the thinking that you get from ACCA will definitely stand each of you in very good stead, right? And one final little comment I would like to add to the parents and the students who've joined us today. I must say that I don't mean any disrespect or disregard to the traditional thinking of most parents, right? Of that you need to get your student to follow a very traditional linear approach. What do I mean by linear? A straight line approach, right? So sometimes parents do tend to like to follow like a set path. So it's like you finish your school, you then have to try to get into a Sri Lankan university, right? And then spend that 1 year, like a gap year, waiting for your results and waiting for campus entrance, and then start your degree, finish it, and then enter the job market, right? So what I would like to just point out is that at the same time, and to be honest, guys, that is a very, very viable approach. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's important that you guys push yourselves also at this juncture, because as Shehan mentioned, and even I heard Nilusha mention that this is a very pivotal point in all your journeys, right? You all have to make a very crucial decision about your children's future. Same as from the children's point of view, you guys, the young school grads or the young people who've entered university, you guys have to decide as you do your degree at a Sri Lankan university or following an international degree here in Sri Lanka, or looking at other options. It's always good to have a professional qualification, guys. And I am, I would say, a good example of that. Right. So I do have a bachelor's in business administration, but I also have 4 professional qualifications, guys. And it helped me really do well in my career as well as in my business, because the beauty of a professional qualification is that it is profession oriented. It is focused towards making you succeed in your profession, in your career. Right. So as much as academia is important, getting a professional insight to how things work inside a company in the real world is very, very important to get a head start in your futures. So don't look at this qualification as merely a thing you have to study. No. To me, it is a part of your journey, right? And we all take different routes, right, to get to where we want. Right? And in that journey, following a professional qualification like ACCA will make you a very practical, a very, I would say, a very realistic individual, because not only are you reading textbooks, but you are also dealing with scenarios, exam cases, problems that are real world. And that's another great thing about ACCA. Every single exam question or paper you attempt, the case study or the question is designed around a real world problem. So you're dealing with real companies and real issues. They use dummy names in the companies, but they are referring to real problems and real situations within organizations. As someone who has now completed almost 18 years of both my professional career as well as my business career, after 18 years, I can promise you that, right? So you learn everything that you see in the real world, that we deal with every day, right? Including situations like right now, like we're right now going through a global pandemic, but these are scenarios, situations, and problems that in simulation mode, we will discuss in classes, right? So I love that ACCA allows even tutors like us to come and share our real world insights, because we can discuss in our classrooms what really happens in the world, right? And we can use these examples that we deal with day in, day out in our classrooms. And that's because of how open and practical this qualification is. So remember again, following a very straight line in terms of your academia is a good idea. But if you can supplement that with a parallel professional qualification like ACCA, I think you're on the money. It'll make you world ready. I think Nilusha said it beautifully, ACCA is about bringing the world to you. And that's very true as well. So try your best. I know right now, lots of us are going through a rough time. So yes, I think everyone mentioned that there is an investment involved. ACCA requires some level of investment financially, but the beauty of it is that investment can be staggered. You don't need to put all that money at once. Now, if you take an option of sending your children abroad, right? And as young students, if you guys have a passion to go abroad and study, right? While you wait on that decision, because right now you can't travel, guys. right? And the money that you need to invest as a lump sum, you don't have to do with ACCA. The beauty of ACCA is it's a gradual qualification with multiple stages, as Shahan showed you beautifully in his diagram, right? So you can stagger your investment. You can start ACCA. You can then, if you get entrance into an overseas university or here in Sri Lanka, you can take a gap in your professional studies. No one's going to hold that against you, right? That's how flexible the qualification is. You can take 6 months off, 1 year off, no fuss, right? And then while you get comfortable with your degree, once you're comfortable, okay, now I can manage my degree work, my workload I can manage, then you can start continuing your ACCA studies. And let's say you finish your degree, right? You can then rejoin and start your ACCA qualification again while you start work. So that flexibility you can't get with academic qualifications. They are very strict. You have to have attendance. You have to rock up to class every day. Here, it's a very more flexible style of teaching, and it's very it's online based. We record all our videos at Alpha, so all the classroom sessions are online, as Shahan said, but it's also recorded. So at your time, at your pace, you can study. And to me, there aren't many qualifications that give you that flexibility, right? To study at your own pace, to manage it with all your other work, right? So think about all these things. I know it's a very important decision, so take your time. You know, some of the best decisions are made after a lot of thought. So don't worry. Take your time. Think about everything, and also think a lot about what kind of a, like, even if you are going to start ACCA, you must. I think it's very important to look at who's going to teach you ACCA, right? Because it's, I think, very rewarding and very enriching to learn from practitioners, from people who actually use what they've studied in ACCA in the real world, like our friend Richardson. Like he showed you exactly how he uses his for his work as a senior business analyst. So I mean, to me, the most rewarding type of learning is learning real world, where you see what you learn being practiced, right? So think about where you want to study as well, and I think that may be where a place like Alpha might help, because the panel is made up of, I can proudly say, it's a panel full of experienced professionals, people who practice and who are not just full-time educators, right? So, and that will be a very interesting and an enriching experience for you all as you start your journeys. So it's been a pleasure talking to all of you. I hope I was able to create some level of interest and excitement to the qualification and the future that it holds. So that's also one thing, right? This is just the entry, guys. The qualification is just the road, but the future is beyond that, right? So you have to do the work to get there. So please do the work, you know. So nothing comes easy in life. You have to put in effort to get a reward. What I can vouch for is that the effort of completing ACCA is definitely rewarding and worthwhile. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Shahan, over to you, man.
Thank you so much, Tilanka, for those words of wisdom, I must say. Very enlightening towards the audience. And I sort of picked up 2 points mainly from Tilanka. One thing is the fact that in this world that we live in, things are very, very competitive. Okay. And it's not just one qualification that we should focus on. So as he correctly said, by no means are we saying that you shouldn't go into a local university. I myself is a graduate from a local university. But I will admit that, I'm sure all local graduates will admit that that alone, okay, may not be sufficient basically in this world which is highly competitive. Whereas, as Tilanka said, you are trained towards the profession through a professional qualification. And added to something like that, if you can move on with a professional qualification soon after your O-levels or A-levels, that's going to be a big plus, okay, which will give you the ACCA qualification along with the BSc Oxford Brookes, then add on or parallelly add on another qualification and probably move on to a few more later on as well. Okay. Before I take some questions, okay, I'm gonna mention to you few key characteristics of Alpha Business School, okay, as to why you should follow the program with us. Our main resource is the lecturers, okay. Dr. Shan Jayasekara has 20 years plus of lecturing experience. I myself have 15 plus years of lecturing experience, all in professional qualifications, which includes ACCA. So as you see right now, this is our distinguished panel of lecturers, okay, who will teach you and who will guide you throughout this particular qualification and get you through the program, okay, within that stipulated time. We are proud to mention that we were the first institute to launch a learning management system soon after the pandemic commenced in Sri Lanka to teach ACCA in Sri Lanka. And we are currently the only institute offering the entire ACCA curriculum through a learning management system in the country. And we provide Kaplan study material to all students, the original version of it, with online support coming through the purchase of the book, which is given on enrollment of the course. We provide installment plans for students. And at the same time, something which Tilanka also mentioned, okay, through our learning system, you can always access the recordings of the lectures. So when you do so, in the case of an emergency, if you have to attend to another matter, that's okay, the recording is available. Not necessarily a situation like that, but sometimes if you want to revisit a lesson that you did, yes, that also can be done through our learning management system. And as I mentioned before, we are the only provider who will offer you 2 diplomas at the same time, one from ACCA, one from Concordia International University, USA. And to get things more flexible these days, okay, and in addition to flexible examinations, we have offered flexible learning through a mobile app as well. So you can log in, download the Alpha Business School mobile app, get your handouts, listen to lectures, live classes, and also listen to recordings through the mobile app on the go as well. At the moment, of course, we all must be at home in Sri Lanka, okay? But when you can move about, okay, that app also may come in handy. And I must also mention that Alpha Business School was awarded the best professional accounting and finance institution in Sri Lanka by APAC magazine for the year 2020. Okay, so such an award isn't just awarded. Okay, it was awarded based on the innovative thinking and steps taken during this period to make learning available to students uninterrupted, okay, throughout this pandemic, and that is what we will continue to do. Okay, these are some of the distinctive features at Alpha Business School offered by only us, ideally, I must say, in most of these cases. With that being said, I move on to questions. Okay, right. So the first question comes from, I'm having all the panelists. The first question comes from Tenuka. Does the United States recognize the ACCA qualification? I think I can take that answer as well. I can take that question and provide the answer. ACCA is recognized in the United States, but as you all will understand, different countries have their different taxation regimes, for example. So you might have to learn their taxation and auditing systems a little bit. Okay. Other than that, yes, the program is recognized in the United States. Can I get an email address of ACCA Sri Lanka? Nilu, may I throw that question to you?
Yes, thanks, Dan. You can send your email queries to our general email, which is info.lk@accglobal.com.
info@acca@acca.lk.
Info.lk@accglobal.com.
Yes, we will have that placed on the chat as well. We will have that placed on the chat, that email address. So if you wish to directly contact the Sri Lanka office, you heard it from our country head directly, so you can use that address. Professional level is it written exams? I think I mentioned that answer. All ACCA exams are computer based. Okay, right. So then we have some endorsements, which I will leave. Thank you for those endorsements. And then I have a question from Mr. Ilyas from Qatar. Okay. What's the age cap to start ACCA? Can a student who is awaiting O-level results but who has turned 16 still enroll? Yes, of course. Okay, a student at that age pending O-level results, yes, can join the ACCA program. Can I know the course fee for knowledge level and the exam fee? The course fee at Alpha Business School, we charge 90,000 rupees, but we are on a promotional discount of a 20% these days, reducing it to 72,000. And each exam is priced at rupees 22,000 for the knowledge level. But I must mention to you, okay, like what I mentioned just a little while ago, the course fee is based on what we provide at Alpha Business School, which includes Kaplan study material, the most experienced lecturers for ACCA in Sri Lanka, a Concordia International University diploma, which comes as an addition, access to recordings, okay, all of those features will be included for that particular course fee. At the moment, that seems to be all in terms of the questions. If there is any more questions, we will be more than willing to answer. I guess in which case, I will thank all our panelists today. Ms. Nilusha Ranasinghe, Country Head of ACCA Sri Lanka, Dr. Shan Jayasekara, Chairman, Alpha Business School, Tilanka, representing entrepreneurs of Sri Lanka, let me say that, and Richardson, representing the corporate world of Sri Lanka, okay, both after the ACCA qualification. Thank you so much for participating, okay. I'll have to pause a bit because we have got some questions. If we got an exemption for knowledge level, will we get a certificate for that too? I will get the confirmation from Ms. Nilusha. I think you will get a document which says you are exempted. Am I right?
Yes, you do get a document saying that you have claimed those exemptions. But was the question directly asking whether the person gets the diploma certificate? Is it?
No, the question goes as, if we got an exemption for knowledge level, will we get a certificate for that? Yes.
Yeah. So
Do
we don't issue a certificate per se, but we issue an email saying that you can claim exemption from the 3 subjects. So that's what we will issue an email.
All right. There's one more question. Question is for ACCA Sri Lanka. So Nilu, this is for you. This time ACCA exams are conducted on a remote basis. Will it be continued in September?
Right. To be fair, we invoke remote invigilation only on extraordinary situation. And I would say this time June exams is unfortunately an extraordinary situation where no one could easily go into examination center. So hopefully September will not be so. So we will actually have our usual center-based exams in September. There won't be a situation where we will have RI, that is remote invigilation, and center-based exams together. At the moment, the organization has not taken a decision to have both options, but as per request being made by the market and the numbers that are requesting it, we may also be pushed to look at it. Yes.
Okay. I believe I'll add on to Shihani's answer, saying that I think it's a little too early for us to come into a conclusion about September exams given the situation around us. So if ACCA is in a position, given the current context in Sri Lanka, okay, at that time, if the gates are open, in the sense if we can move about, okay, then of course there wouldn't be an issue where the exams will be conducted at exam centers. But if the prevailing situation will be the case in the first week of September as well, then I guess we will not have any choice but to sit at home and write the exams from home itself on a remote basis.
Let's just hope it doesn't get there.
Yeah. Yes. So do I. Yeah.
All right. I think we have come into the end of our session, where we have answered all our questions on the chat. So thank you once again to Ms. Nilusha Ranasinghe and the other panelists. And at the same time, thank you to everyone who participated in this event as well, and probably asking questions and clearing your doubts. I hope we have done justice to your time, where we made you aware of the ACCA qualification and how it works, and how Alpha Business School will help you in this journey to achieve success and gain those qualifications. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Good night, Shehan.
Thanks,
Yes.
guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Join the country's most experienced lecturers to pass ACCA with ease. Free Kaplan study text and exam kit. Sri Lanka's first and only ACCA virtual learning platform with the entire ACCA program. Join Alpha Business School today. Call 0773 654 254 for registrations.